Good evening,
Good evening, everyone.
Miriam.
Girls, good
كيفك؟
evening.
Hello, hello.
How are you, Mariam and Rima?
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, how are you, girls?
Fine, thank
Fine.
you. We miss you a long time.
Yes, it's been a long time, I know, but now everything is okay because Ramadan and Eid al-Fitr is finished.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes.
إن شاء الله
Uh,
عيد مبارك على الجميع.
إن شاء الله يا رب
Thank you.
نعاد.
عليكم إن شاء الله يا رب.
إن شاء الله يا رب السنة الجاية تكونوا عاملين كتير أشياء
Thank you.
Yes.
وتكون
يعني
أحسن على الجميع إن شاء الله يا رب.
يا ريت إن
بدنا
شاء الله.
أمان وسلام وطمأنينة، هذا أهم شيء.
عن جد هلا البني آدم شو بده الأمان وبده سلام مثل ما حكيتي صح.
إن
هن أهم شيء. إن شاء الله يا رب.
شاء الله خير.
I think we have to wait for the others maybe 1 or 2 minutes maximum before we start. Mariam Rima.
Okay, no problem.
Okay,
No
so
problem.
okay. Mariam Rima, let's begin because it is 8 and 6 and I have a class at 9 because we don't have too much time to lose. I know that Sonia and Hanadi are not here, but we have to start because at 9 I have a class. Okay.
Okay.
So I think, girls, we have started talking about
Okay.
cars. Exactly. And we have
Yes.
started explaining the vocab and then the idioms. Let me revise the idioms that you have to remember. We have driving me round the bend, and the second one is changing gear. The third idiom is dead end. The fourth one is in the driving seat. And finally, we have fasten your seat belt. So these are the idioms you don't have to forget, and you have to use as much as you can because using idioms is really important just to be that a professional. Again, if you want to be that a professional, again, idioms is not enough. You have to use the advanced grammar. And if you notice, before we stopped previously, that we have this sentence, let me read it again and let's explain the rule, the grammar bit that we have here. So notice the bigger the engine, the faster the speed. We have the later you are, the more red the traffic lights you will meet. We have the faster you drive, the more petrol you will use. Okay, if you remember, Rima, Mariam, we have discussed the comparative. And I know that you know the rule of comparative. But if you notice here that we have two comparatives, this is called doubled comparative. The double comparative is extremely important. You have to use in writing and in speaking, again, just to be that professional. Or I can call this lesson is the comparative, because I can use two thas, because not only one the, you have to use one the in the first clause and second the in the second clause. So let me explain the rule and let's know how to use doubled comparative. Okay, if you remember, Rima, Mariam, we have been talking about the conditionals, and I told you that you have to use if, for example. If you study, you will pass the exam. If you study, this is the example about conditionals. If you study, you pass the exam. Keep in mind that the two or the doubled comparative is like using the conditionals. If you study, you will pass the exam. You will pass the exam. This is exactly like conditionals. Why? Because it is easy for you to say this, let me write the sentence, you will pass the exam. So instead of using conditionals, you can say the more you study, the more you will pass the exam. So this is exactly like conditionals. Let me show you this example. This example is saying the angrier, this is comparative. Don't forget that I have to use comparative after that. The angrier the teacher is, the worse I feel. It is like if you want to say, if the teacher is angry, I will feel worse. So notice that this is exactly like conditionals, but you have to start your sentence with two thas. This is the first the, this is the second one. This is the first comparative, notice angrier. This is the second comparative, which is worse. So this is why it is called doubled comparative. This is another example. So the more you study, the more you learn. Again, it is like if you want to say, if I study more, I will learn more. So it's like conditionals, but notice I use two does plus comparative more, and I completed the sentence as it is. So again, this is why it's called doubled comparative, because I have to use two comparative. This is comparative number one. This is comparative number two. So again, please, you cannot use only one comparative. This is especially called two comparative. And keep in mind, if you want to use it correctly, remember that it is like cause effect. This is it. If you do something, this thing will happen. So it is like cause effect. If you try to check your sentence, if you find the reason and the result or the problem solving or the cause effect, now you are using the doubled comparative correctly. Absolutely, you can use the doubled comparative to talk about anything. This action is happening right now, or maybe to mention the future, or even to mention the past. So this is an example again. If you want to say the more you work, the richer you will get. Again, try to do it in comparative to know if you do this correctly. If I work hard or more, if I work more, I will get rich. So again, please try to do it or to match it with conditionals just to check if you are using the doubled comparative correctly or no. Don't forget that we have two thas, this is it. And don't forget that we have, again, two comparatives. So as I told you, if I work hard, I will learn more or I will get rich. So exactly, it's like conditionals. Let me show you more examples if I want to use it in the future, in the past, or maybe in the present. An example about the future, absolutely, I have to use will. So the more you work, the richer you will get. Let me tell you something, please, Rima and Mariam, because we have a mistake in the book I'm going to show you. If you want to use it, and if you want to use it with a verb, Both the clauses, you have to use verbs. For example, notice that the more you work, this is a verb. In the next clause, you have to use a verb again. So notice the richer you will get. This is get. So please remember that. Don't use only in the first class a verb. In the second one, you don't want to use a verb. As in the book, this is a mistake. And again, I'm going to show you when we come back to the book. This is another example in the past. So notice the longer, this is the in the second clause. This is comparative longer, this is comparative more in the second clause. So the longer he waited, the more impatient he became. So notice he waited, subject. This is dependent clause, verb, subject, verb, independent clause. Again, don't miss any part. If the verb is missing, it is not doubled comparative. This is another example in the present time. The less I worry, okay, the more relaxed I feel. So notice I worry subject verb dependent clause, and I feel dependent clause because we have subject verb. Don't miss any part because again, if you do so, the doubled comparative will be missing. So let me show you the exact way that we have to use doubled comparative, or let me call it, if you want, double the, because we have two thes, the in the first clause and the in the second clause. So this is it, please. The, comparative, this is it, comparative adjective, and maybe I can use a noun. Let me show you an example if you want to use the plus comparative plus adjective. This is another example. So notice more expensive, more interesting, more difficult. We notice that difficult is adjective, interesting is adjective, interesting is adjective. Absolutely, if the adjective, if you remember Mariam, if the adjective has more than one syllable, I have to use more. If we have only one syllable, like cheap, for example, you have to apply the same rule. You have to add R, ER, or IER, like tall, one syllable, taller. Old, older, cheap, cheaper. And don't forget the irregular rules, because we have good, I cannot say gooder, I have to say better. We have bad, I cannot say better, I have to say worse. The third irregular, we have far. To be honest, if we have far, we cannot say farer. I know that some students say farer. It's not, it's wrong. You have to say further or with you. Farther or further. If you want to say farther is correct or further is correct. But don't say farer because it is irregular. So these are the only three irregulars you have to be careful if you want to use them with comparative. So we have good, better, bad, worse, far, further, or farther. So notice again that I can use the plus adjective, comparative, plus adjective. Can I use a noun? Absolutely, you can use a noun. So the most important rule I need you to keep in mind, Mariam, Rima, which is adding a noun. I know that this rule is new for you, but adding a noun is extremely important and it is correct. Take a look at this example. We have the, this is the. We have comparative, this is larger. We have noun, notice the house. The house is a noun. It is not a verb. It is not an adjective. So I can say the larger the house, the higher the tax. And notice that the tax is another noun. And notice that I didn't use a verb in the clause here, and I missed it in the second clause. It is wrong. Let me show you in the book the wrong example that I told you in the previous class that it is wrong. This is an example. If I want to say the bigger the engine is, this is a verb, you have to say the faster the car is again. If you don't want to use a verb, don't use a verb in the first class and don't use a verb in the second class. You have to do like this. The bigger the engine, the faster the car. So please, this is what I wanted to tell you from the beginning, because this sentence is completely wrong. something is missing, which is the verb. You have two solutions. You can delete the verb, or maybe you have to use two verbs as we notice here in the two nouns, which are the tax and the house. Please be careful. This is for advanced using, and you have to use it correctly. So this is another example if I want to use two nouns in two clauses. The lower the weights, okay, the more the borrowers. So notice that I didn't use a verb in the first class and I didn't in the second class. If you want to use a verb, please again, use verb with both clauses, not only in one class. As I told you here, the class. And keep in mind that the class I have to use is dependent. So notice that I have the verb and I have the subject only. I don't have any object or complement. So please be careful because I have to use dependent clause. So let's take a look at more examples. So we notice that I have the more you learn, this is the subject and this is the verb. The more you learn, okay, comma, the more again, this is comparative. You learn again, this is subject verb. The faster, this is comparative. We finish, so notice independent clause because I used only subject plus verb. The sooner, okay, we can leave. Notice that can is modal, leave is a verb, it's not complement. The less I concentrate or focus, okay, the more I forget. The final example is saying the younger. This is comparative. Again, you begin to learn a language. Okay, maybe here I used independent clause, but notice that in the second clause, I didn't use any independent clause. I said the easier it is, this is subject and this is verb. So please be careful because as I told you, it is extremely important. The most important thing I need you to focus on is the irregular comparative because as I told you, we have better, we have worse, and we have further or farther. So notice the stronger, the better. Notice, guys, that here I can use only the comparative. So notice I have the and I have comparative only without mentioning any noun, any verb. This is a good example. Notice the question here we have, how do you like your coffee? So the answer, the stronger, the better. So notice that I used only the plus comparative without mentioning any subject, any verb. It is completely true. It is not correct. Notice the next example because I have when should I start? So my answer is the earlier, the better. It is like as if you are saying the earlier I start, the better I will be, for example. But instead of mentioning the subject and the verb, it is easier for you only to mention the comparative. So the earlier, the better. Okay, Mariam, Rima.
Yes, yes.
So
Yes.
exactly. So let's discuss the final example. So notice the more, the merrier. Merry is yafrah. The more people there are, or they are, the merrier everyone will be. So this is a good example by asking a question. Do you prefer a large family? I said the more family, absolutely, the merrier. So notice I only mentioned comparative. Now, the next example with the next question, I said, can I bring a friend? Sure, the more friends you can bring, the merrier we will be. So notice I only mentioned the comparative. And this way, guys, it is used more in spoken English. In writing, you have to be careful because in writing, you have to be formal. I think I mentioned I have to use the subject and the verb. It is better because in writing, as I told you again, you have to be formal. You have to avoid being informal. So this is everything about doubled comparative. As I told you guys, it is really important. You have to be careful. And as I told you, if you want to use nouns, keep using only nouns, but with a verb, use two verbs in the two clauses. take a look at this example again. The bigger the engine, I mentioned only noun because as I told you, I can't say a noun. The faster the speed only, this is a noun again. And notice in the next example where I mentioned the verb, notice the later you are, this is subject, this is verb, this is dependent, the more red the traffic lights you will meet. So notice I mentioned meet the verb and I mentioned are the verb. This is another example because the faster you drive, the more petrol you use or you will use. This is a fact, and it is easy for you to delete well by saying only the faster you drive, the more petrol you use. Because any car in the world, if you want to drive faster, absolutely you will use more petrol. So this is it. This is why, again, if I want to say the engine, the bigger the engine is, I have to say the faster the car is again. If you don't want to use a verb, please delete the verb in the first clause, because if you want to do so like this, your sentence will be destroyed. Is everything clear, guys?
Okay, yes.
Okay, so thanks God. Now I think we have to practice the topics concerning cars, but let me connect my laptop to charging and let's go down now and let's start practicing. Okay, so as usual, can I start with you, Maria?
Yes, okay.
Okay, so now, as we said before, because we are talking about cars, now let me ask you the first question, which is saying, do you prefer to drive or to be a passenger?
Honestly, I prefer to drive, but sometimes I let me يعني be a passenger if I'm very tired, but I prefer to drive
Why you prefer to drive, not to be driven, Mariam?
because um, every driver, everyone who can drive, he's not very. It's not very comfortable to be يعني to be a passenger in a car
Ah,
because sometimes it's a feeling you feel in an يعني not confident with the driver.
uh-huh. Mariam, even if it's not your car,
Yes, absolutely.
uh-huh, amazing. It's a good answer. Thank you. And
Thank you.
which classic car would you like to own? We are talking about classical cars.
Uh, maybe Camaro.
Camaro, holy God, it's huge and it
Yes,
sound.
but
Uh,
it's sportive car and
uh-huh.
uh, I like that the faster car, the better uh, the better one.
Amazing. The faster the car. Exactly. So you have to say the car because you have to mention that. Amazing. The faster the car, the better. I can say the one because I don't want to repeat the noun. That's amazing.
Yes,
But let me guess, Mariam, that you like to drive fast, not just to slow down like adults.
yes. No, I like drive fast, and
Mm,
I want to tell you a secret.
please.
My son, first one,
Mhm.
has a Camaro. So sometimes I borrow it, and I it's a pleasure to drive it.
But Mariam, wait. Some people say the faster you drive, the more dangerous you will be. Do you agree with this saying?
Yes, absolutely.
Uh-huh.
But I think that maybe the faster you drive, the danger, no, the more danger
Uh-huh.
you so the faster you drive, you can or you will يعني you will um, uh,
You will be in
meet.
danger?
You will meet, okay, or you
Uh-huh.
will have.
Uh-huh.
So I agree with this, but there is some way to drive um, fast, but a very يعني wise fast.
Ah,
يعني عرفت
amazing.
يعني
Yes.
with very control, with not fast like يعني I mean in a road very empty road. I
Mhm.
can make this, but if there is very traffic يعني a large traffic, so
A hard traffic.
yes, a hard traffic. I
Uh-huh.
don't want to make that. I don't want
Yeah.
to drive very fast. But if I feel I'm in, I'm secure, or my situation is secure, so I go ahead. Why
Mm,
not?
amazing. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. Thank you
Because
so much.
because
Uh,
life maybe يعني need some
adventure,
adrenaline,
risk.
action.
But Mariam, yeah, I know. At the end of the road, Mariam, we are human beings. We like to take a rest. But you know what? Sometimes if you have a heart accident, you will regret every moment you did the
Yes.
yes, because by the way, I think you're right. We cannot stay without let me say making a rest or do something exceed the expectations. But other times we regret every moment we did that. By the way, if you want, absolutely, if you want to take an adventure with care, you can do it.
Yes.
Mm. Okay, Mariam, the final thing I want to tell you, can I say the more danger or the more dangerous?
The more danger.
Is danger noun or adjective?
Danger is a noun. So dangerous.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Dangerous. The more
Eh,
dangerous.
oh,
Okay.
bravo. Thank you so much, Mariam. Now I think I have to start with you, Rima. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So,
Yes,
Rima,
I'm here.
what about you? Do you prefer to drive or to be driven?
No, of course, I like to drive. I don't like at all to be driven.
Holy God, why?
I trust on myself only.
Ah,
In the
amazing.
past, in the past,
Mhm.
when my husband wasn't sick, uh, I trust only in his way to
Mm.
drive. But if my son يعني, drives the car, I'm always on stress.
Uh-huh.
He go very fast.
Ah.
He goes very fast. Yes,
Mm.
he drives very fast. I am always on my nerves.
So it's only because of it's only because of the trust. That is it.
I trust my son. He is very good driver. I
Ah,
know he is very good driver.
ah,
But يعني سبحان الله يعني I am stressed
uh-huh,
from he goes fast. He
uh-huh.
makes the الكوع. I don't know
Ah,
how to say
okay.
fast. Yes, أنا I am a little bit uh, uh, معقدة. I don't know how to
Come on,
say.
complicated.
Yes, because in the past, when I was younger with my family, I was 14. I remember like this. I was 14. We make we made a very dangerous accident.
Holy God.
Very, very, very dangerous accident. يعني يعني for the God help us, we
Yeah, we
are
can
all
say,
died.
oh,
Yes,
holy God. That bless
yes.
you. Thanks God,
That's
because
why I am so I
cautious.
go. Yes, I like to drive my own car to go. I like to drive and not to be driven. I go slowly. I uh, I don't go fast. I look very well. I don't speak. I don't. I put my wheelchairs, my seat belt.
Yeah, amazing.
Yes, I take care. يعني I hope God will save us يعني because fast is not good. There is a مثل بيقول إنه
Proverb.
when we go yes when we go fast maybe something bad will happen. I don't I am not afraid from dying, but I am afraid uh, uh, to be what we say uh, معاق أو something like this.
Paralyzed or
Yes,
disfigured.
for example, or something to help because the sister of my husband make an accident 10 years ago. Until now, she is sick, too much sick. She can't move, she can't go, she can't
Holy
come.
God.
Yes, it is
Holy
very
God.
dangerous. Sometimes it is not our fault in the accident. It is not our fault, but we must take care. We must
Yeah.
take care. We must go slowly, Miriam.
Yeah,
Yes,
please.
absolutely.
Exactly. She's right. She gave us a good example by not to drive fast.
Yes.
Holy God. Okay. Mariam, what is the meaning of a proverb?
Proverb هو هذا المثل مثل
Bravo.
Yes.
Exactly. Okay. Rima, I'm talking about Rima. Okay. Rima, if I want to say afraid,
afraid.
what is the preposition with afraid? If I want to say that أنا خائف من الموت, afraid death.
I'm afraid from death.
I have to say afraid of.
Afraid of death.
Exactly. I'm afraid of death.
Okay.
So all the
Okay.
time, if you want to use afraid, the preposition that you have to use is of, not from.
Okay. Okay.
So, like the example is saying, are you afraid of what? So I'm afraid of failing, for example, I'm afraid of being
Of
alone.
death.
So,
Afraid
bravo, you
of
have to
going
say exactly.
fast. Yes.
Uh, uh, Wait, Rima, it's not the end because I want to ask you this question. Okay, thank you so much. But Rima, let's imagine that you are in a certain party, but because you drank too much, let's say like that, you are really tired and you cannot focus on the road because you are not totally cautious. Um, can you ask someone just to drive you home or you don't
Of
care?
course.
Ah,
No, no, of course. No, it's this situation is, of course, I'm not safe if I drive myself.
uh-huh.
I know, I will not be safe. I will not be in good position to sit on the car and drive myself.
Mm,
No, I will ask, of course, someone to drive me.
okay. Thank you so much, Rima. This is really amazing. Try the best, Rima, please. If you have any problem with your mic, just to fix it, because I can hear some noise with your
Oh,
mic.
okay.
Yeah, please. Okay. Thank you so much again, Rima. Now I have to go back to you, Mariam, if you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, so now let me ask you the third question, Mariam, which is saying, do you prefer sports cars or luxury cars?
يعني both of them. Why
Why
not?
both?
Sports cars is for يعني sports cars maybe we can use it in certain occasion or yes, and luxury cars يعني the same.
Yeah, okay, thank you. By the way, Mariam, luxury is a noun. The adjective is luxurious. So, luxury cars. Okay. And what about colors? Which colors do you prefer?
What do you mean? يعني like I don't tell it right?
No, it's correct, but I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the book. We had the
Okay.
mistake is from the book. It's not.
Mistake.
Yeah,
Luxuries
yeah,
cars.
luxurious,
Okay.
exactly. Because
Luxuries. Okay.
exactly.
Luxuries cars.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay.
And I can't tell you I don't like luxuries cars because it's very, very comfortable and very beautiful and يعني everyone likes them.
Mm, yeah, I think you're right. Okay. By the way, Mariam, this is luxurious, which is adjective. This is luxury, which is a noun.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you so much. Now, the next question is saying, what's the best car you've ever driven or had a ride in the past?
In the past,
Yes, or if you are driving this car now, okay, you can tell us.
yes. يعني I think يعني the best one
Mhm.
maybe it's my own car.
Your own car?
Yes.
What is it? Is it Nissan? Is it BMW or what?
BMW,
Ah,
BMW
so it's
X5.
it's the best.
يعني for me,
Mhm.
I
Why?
think that
Mhm.
because it's very comfortable
Uh-huh.
and look it's look like يعني look uh, it's a beautiful car
Mhm.
and mechanically it's very very good.
Mhm. But can I tell you something, Mariam? Some people say that BMW's cars, to be honest, need too much petrol, and if something wrong or broken with this car, you need too much money to
No,
fix.
it's
Uh,
wrong because we have another kind of car and I think it's about the number of horses. So if you have يعني it's um, uh, we can um, put it in the range of the car who's maybe يعني have